right, welcome once again to another summary, a chapter by chapter summary. We're looking today at the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. So, The Power of Now is a spiritual guide written by Eckhart Tolle, which focuses on the importance of living in the present moment. As you can tell, the power of now in the present moment. So, let's quickly look first at what the different chapters entail in brief. Chapter one is titled You Are Not Your Mind. And this is quite interesting. This chapter introduces the concept of the voice in the head and how it creates an illusion of self, that you think that this is actually you, but it's not you, it's your mind. And it emphasizes the distinction between the thinking mind and the true consciousness. Okay, it's quite interesting. Chapter 2 discusses consciousness, the way out of pain, right? This is where it's discussed that you only honestly are suffering if you decide to stay in that pain, but you don't have to stay in that. You can actually think of something else. You can actually be present. At the present pain, the present situation, you definitely can handle. So it discusses the nature of emotional pain and how it is connected to the mind, and it explores the idea that true freedom is found in transcending the mind and being present, right? I actually tried this one. It's quite interesting. I went to a dentist and I was like so afraid of what could happen, the pain. But the book had advised that if you are going to be present, right? Don't imagine how horrible it's going to be, but just be present, observe, what you see, observe, what you feel, see what you feel for what it is at the present moment. You find that you can handle whatever you are put through at that present moment. And so I did that and I was surprised. I was surprised that, what I thought would have been this horrible dentist visit turned out to be something that I managed, and I walked away with a smile, a better one. So it's quite interesting. Anyway, chapter 3 discusses moving deeply into the now, and it emphasizes the importance of focusing on the present moment rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Okay, so if you dwell in the past, that's where regret lies, because hey, you can't change the past. It already has happened. The future doesn't really exist. What you actually have is the present. So it also discusses the concept of surrendering to the present moment, like being here, right? Feel the breeze, feel, listen to the sounds that are around you, the sights around you, the sound of traffic. What is it that you actually are seeing, the people that you are with right now. And so, chapter 4 looks at mind strategies for avoiding the now. Okay, and this chapter examines common mind patterns and strategies that individuals use to avoid the present moment. Okay, by the way, as you can imagine, you don't want to keep to these strategies because you want to be in the present moment. And this chapter also discusses the role of the ego in resisting the now. Okay. Uh, it's a funny thing called ego. Chapter 5 discusses the state of presence, and this chapter explores the concept of presence and how it can be accessed through stillness and inner silence. Okay, so take the time to be quiet and be present, be here. All right, listen to that heartbeat. See how your nostrils move when you breathe, if you can see them. Anyway, this chapter discusses the idea that true intelligence arises from a state of presence. Chapter 6, the inner body, introduces the concept of the inner body and how it can be used as a tool to bring awareness to the present moment. And so this chapter emphasizes the importance of connecting with the body to transcend the mind. Okay, be one with your body and your mind. Chapter 7 looks at portals into the unmanifested. Okay, so this chapter discusses the role of nature, of art, and the formless in accessing the deeper dimension of consciousness. Okay, this all these creative parts of what we do and we are exposed to. Okay, we look at them here, and this chapter also explores the idea of recognizing the sacredness in ordinary things. Okay, sacredness in ordinary things such as eating. Okay, you can actually make eating a meal quite a sacred experience. Okay, if you're going to be present. Chapter 8, Enlightened Relationships. Okay, so this chapter explores the challenges and opportunities for spiritual growth in relationships, and it discusses the importance of mutual presence and acceptance in relationships. Okay, you want to actually accept yourself, you want to accept your partner, you want to accept the people around you, you want to be present. Okay, you want to be here to listen to them and all the stuff, right? All of these things we talk about communication, empathy, right? Consideration, all of them need you to actually be present. Okay. Chapter 9, Beyond Happiness and Unhappiness, There is Peace. Okay, so this chapter examines the concept of true inner peace and how it is distinct from fleeting states of happiness and unhappiness. And it discusses the idea of finding peace in the present moment. Okay, you don't have to base your peace on things that are wavering. Okay, it can be a genuine inner peace that doesn't change. Okay. Chapter 10, the last chapter, is the meaning of surrender. And this chapter explores the concept of surrender and how it is essential for spiritual awakening. Okay, again, you want to be awakened, right? You want to be in tune with your spiritual self. And this chapter discusses the difference between surrender and resignation. Okay. So, the Power of Now summarizes key concepts, from the book and reinforces the importance of living in the present moment. And it emphasizes the transformative power of presence. Okay, there is power in the present moment. Right, there is power in that. So it provides also practical insights and exercises to help individuals achieve a state of presence and experience the benefits of living in the now. One of the exercises that I definitely enjoyed and I was like, oh, this is quite interesting, was the exercise of seeing how your thoughts are separate from who you are. And so you would actually sit and close your eyes, and as you're closing your eyes, you would actually wait for what thought would come up, right? So just be attentive, silence yourself, silence your mind, and see which thought is going to come up. It's quite interesting to see how, like, here's a thought that slowly comes up to try and interrupt your silence and your peace, right? And from that exercise you actually get to see that, hey, the thoughts are not necessarily who you are. No, they are external, they come, and they come into your space. And so you don't have to be, what is it, um, controlled by your thoughts. You don't have to. You can see that they are separate from who you are. It's quite an amazing exercise. And so, also in this book, it's encouraged, readers encouraged to free themselves from the grip of the thinking mind and discover a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment in the present moment. Okay, so it's an amazing, amazing read. Okay, so in the next section, we're going to look at the different chapters one by one. Okay, so starting off with chapter 1. So chapter one of The Power of Now, it's titled "You Are Not Your Mind," and here Eckhart Tolle delves into the nature of the human mind and its impact on our sense of self. Okay, so we look here at the introduction to the voice in the head. So Tolle begins by introducing the concept of the voice in the head, and here's the continuous stream of thoughts that occupies the human mind. You get to see how these thoughts come up and just how many of them, right, come and occupy your mind, and how not all of them are important to you, and how not all of them are there to serve you. Okay, and how a lot of them are actually intruders and should be sieved out. So also, Eckhart Tolle points out that this constant mental chatter creates a false sense of identity, as people often associate themselves with their thoughts. Okay, but if you learn that no, 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 these chatter, this thought is not necessarily who you are. You can sieve out a thought that is not serving you. Also, we look at identification with the mind. The author explains how individuals often identify with their thoughts, believing that the incessant mental activity represents who they truly are. But actually, it doesn't. So, this identification leads to a distorted perception of self, and as the mind is inherently conditioned and influenced by external factors such as societal norms, cultural expectations and personal experiences. Okay, so you think that because I made that decision, right, given those circumstances 10 years ago, then this is what I do, this is who I am. No, okay, these are thoughts and experiences that you've gone through, but they're not necessarily who you are. Also, the illusion of self in this chapter, Toll argues that the mind generates an illusory sense of self, creating a false narrative that defines an individual's identity. This false self is tied to the ego. Can you know if it's tied to the ego, it's going to be so closely linked to who you feel you are. A psychological construct that thrives on separation and comparison, contributing to feelings of inadequacy, superiority, or other forms of judgment. You can either feel you're inadequate or you can feel as if, hey, you're mighty high above everyone else. All of this is illusion. Okay, so then we look at beyond thought. The chapter emphasizes the need to recognize the space between thoughts, right? The gaps of stillness that exist beyond the constant mental noise. Toll suggests that true consciousness and self awareness arise in those moments of stillness when no one, or when someone is not entangled in the web of thoughts. So if you are going to detach yourself, which is why it's important that you learn to meditate, to separate yourself from those thoughts, to create that gap between you and the constant chatter, right? And to bring some stillness, some inner peace in your space. Okay, we also get to see the observer of the mind. This was quite intriguing. Toll introduces the idea of becoming the observer of the mind, right? Observe your own mind. What's going on in there? That's when you get to see those thoughts that start to come and creep into your mind, right? When you take the time to observe what's going on in your mind, again, detach yourself from the thought patterns, and by observing thoughts without identifying with them, individuals can gain insight into the workings of their minds and begin to disentangle themselves from the illusion of the false self. Okay, when you see that thought is coming here, it's not who I am, then hey, you don't have to align yourself with that thought, because you can see that it is not who you are, because you've taken the time to observe your own mind. What a powerful exercise. And also in this chapter, we look at the now as the key to liberation. And central to this chapter is the concept that true liberation lies in the present moment. You can liberate yourself if you're going to live in the present moment, living in the now. So here, Toll asserts that the now is the only place where one can experience true contentment and fulfillment. And so by disengaging from the mind's incessant chatter, and embracing the present, individuals can break free from the cycle of suffering and find a deeper sense of peace. Okay? Because you're not one with the chatter. You have detached yourself even from the chatter. And so, in summary, chapter 1 sets the foundation for the entire book by highlighting the detrimental effects of excessive identification with the mind. It encourages readers to explore the possibility of transcending the conditioned thought patterns and discovering a more profound sense of self in the timeless realm of the present moment. Again, the present moment is quite timeless, right? But you can live in it and you can just, tap into the power of being present, right? Of being here now. So we move on to the next chapter, which is titled Consciousness, the Way Out of Pain. So, chapter 2, Consciousness, the Way Out of Pain. Here, Eckhart Tolle continues his exploration of the human experience, and he's focusing on the relationship between the mind and the emotional pain. Okay, so here, is what he talks about. He talks about identification with emotional pain, and Tolle begins by addressing the common tendency of individuals to identify with their emotional pain. Okay, he explains that the mind often perpetuates and amplifies suffering by creating a narrative around past experiences, leading to a cycle of negativity and victimhood, right? Yeah, so I was judged in the past. I was, mistreated in the past. I was bullied in the past. And so now I identify with that, right? I've made triggers of that. I sort of have attached that to the who I am, and I sort of become the victim for a very long time, which I don't have to. And so, the role of the mind in pain, this chapter delves into the ways in which the mind contributes to emotional suffering, okay? Which is why a lot of things are said to begin in the mind. So Toll explains that the mind tends to replay past painful experiences or anticipate future ones, keeping individuals trapped in a state of perpetual discontent. By dwelling on these mental patterns, people reinforce their identification with suffering, right? Because I suffered in the past, therefore I will be suffering now, therefore I'm meant to be suffering, therefore this is my fate. Okay. And all of those things are things that one easily associate themselves with because now they've just accepted or they sort of take ownership of this pain, which doesn't belong to them. And then also there's consciousness as the solution. Toll introduced the concept that consciousness or awareness is the key to transcending emotional pain. So by fully or by being present in the now, individuals can observe their thoughts and emotions without being consumed by them. Don't have to be consumed by your thoughts. No, no, you're bigger than them. So, consciousness in this context represents a higher state of awareness that is not entangled with the egoic mind. Okay, you can be again above your thoughts, above your mind. So the choice to suffer, okay, listening to this, this is quite interesting. It's actually a choice to suffer, okay. So it's mentioned that we all go through pain, but we choose to suffer, okay. If you stay in that pain, and it becomes suffering, you choose that, okay. You don't have to live in that for unnecessarily longer than you have to. So the author challenges the notion that external circumstances are solely responsible for one's suffering. He suggests that suffering is often a result of the mind's resistance to the present moment. Okay, you don't want to accept what you're going through right now. You don't want to accept your current challenges, and so you you live in this disbelief, right, or an acceptance of your situation, and it can bring suffering and unnecessary pain. So, by resisting what is, individuals choose to suffer, and Toll encourages readers to consider the possibility of a different response to life's challenges. So, we look also at the art of presence. Toll introduces the idea of practicing presence as an art. So, this involves consciously choosing to be fully engaged in whatever one is doing without the burden of mental baggage from the past or worries about the future. So, the art of presence allows individuals to experience a deeper level of fulfillment in everyday activities. So we also look at the transformative power of presence. The chapter highlights the transformative power of being present. And by disidentifying from the mind and embracing the now, individuals can break free from the cycle of suffering. Toll emphasizes that true inner peace is not found in the absence of challenges, but in the absence of the present moment. So we look also at freedom from psychological time. Toll discusses the concept of psychological time, the mental construct that consists of past and future. He suggests that true liberation comes from transcending the limitations of psychological time and fully inhabiting the timeless present. And so in chapter two, the summary, so rather, chapter two invites the readers to explore the relationship between the mind and the emotional pain. And it presents the idea that consciousness and presence often have a way, you know, um, to just offer a way out of the cycle of suffering. So, by understanding the nature of the mind and choosing to be fully present, like in the now, right now, individuals can experience a profound shift in their relationship with pain and find a path to inner peace. Now, again, these are teachings that you can apply to your actual circumstances, your actual life situations, okay? But we highlighted here, or rather, Toll highlights here that um, dwell in the now. You will see just how much power you have, just how much you can handle, because it is true. By the way, the author mentions scripture as well. It is true that, God only allows for you uh, to receive only that which you can handle. Okay, so that is in the now. If you focus on the now, you will see that what is been given to you, you actually can handle. And so moving on to chapter 3. Okay, so chapter 3 is titled Moving Deeply into the Now. Right, and so chapter 3 is titled Moving Deeply into the Now. Okay, and in this chapter, Toll further explores the significance of living in the present moment, and he provides practical guidance on how to deepen one's experience of the now. Okay, so he talks of the essence of the now. Here he begins by emphasizing that the now is not just a concept, but the essence of who we are. It is the timeless dimension of consciousness that transcends past and future. So the chapter encourages readers to move beyond intellectual understanding and to actively engage in the present moment. It's bigger than our intellect, it's bigger than our thoughts, right? It is the essence of who we are. Also, we look at the false security of the mind. Here, Toll discusses how the mind often seeks security and identity in the past and, hopefully in the future. He highlights that this seeking is actually an illusion, as true security and fulfillment can only be found in the present, where you actually are. So the chapter prompts readers to recognize the futile nature of seeking completeness in external circumstances. Okay, so what is it that you have here in the present with you now? That is what you have to use. So we also look at freedom from the egoic mind. Here, the concept of the egoic mind is revisited, and Toll discusses how the ego thrives on identification with the past and anticipation of the future, right? Because I did this and it worked in the past, I'm hoping that it's going to work in the future. And so he introduces the idea that true freedom comes from disidentifying with the ego and stepping into the now. You need to detach yourself from what the ego wants of you, but then stepping into the now. What is it that you have to work with right now? So the chapter provides practical insights into observing the mind's habitual patterns, right? The things that you normally would do because these are the things that you always have done in the past. How about assessing each and every one of those things? Do they actually serve your cause? Are they in line with what you'd like to achieve, right? Or are they things that you just have been falling back onto because you have not been applying your mind? You have not been observing your thoughts. You do not even take the time to consider where they began, where they came from. Okay, and so we also look at conscious breath and inner body awareness. Here, Toll introduces the practices of conscious breathing and inner body awareness as tools to anchor oneself in the present. So, by bringing attention to the breath and the inner energy field of the body, individuals can transcend mental noise and connect with the deeper dimension of consciousness. And so, the chapter guides readers in experiencing these practices. Also, we look at the acceptance of the present moment, the importance of accepting the present moment as it is without resistance. Now, this is a key theme. And so, Toll explains that resistance to what is creates suffering. Okay, so you don't want to resist what is, you want to accept what is, you want to deal with what is so you don't suffer. And that true transformation arises from accepting the now. Okay, accepting what you have, accepting your current limitations, accepting your current level of knowledge, and working with what it is that you have now. So the chapter explores the difference between surrender and resignation, and it emphasizes the empowering nature of surrender to the present moment. Also, the stillness within. Here, Toll introduces the concept of stillness as the foundation of the now. Be still and know that I am God, right? Be still and be here, okay? Know that there's a higher power, there's a higher presence that's dealing and orchestrating things to your favor, but be present to observe that, to experience that. He encourages readers to discover the inherent stillness that exists beneath the surface of all experiences, and by accessing this inner stillness, individuals can find a source of peace and joy that is independent of external circumstances. So we look also at the gateway to eternity. The chapter concludes with the idea that the now is not a means to an end, but the end itself. Okay, so you don't focus on the now to arrive at the future. You want to be in the now and stay in the now. It is the end in itself. It is the gateway to eternity, the timeless dimension within each person. And Toll suggests that by fully embracing the present moment, individuals can experience a profound shift in consciousness. Okay, and so in summary, chapter 3 guides readers on a journey deeper into the now, which offers practical techniques and insights to help individuals disengage from the egoic mind and to fully embrace the present moment as the source of true liberation and fulfillment. So, chapter 4, here Echo titles it Mind Strategies for Avoiding the Now. Okay, so in this chapter, Toll explores the various strategies that the mind uses or employs to resist the present moment and maintain its dominance. Remember, the mind wants to take control. Okay, so these are some of the things that it uses for you to avoid the now. So we look at the nature of the egoic mind. Toll begins by reiterating the nature of the egoic mind, emphasizing its relentless desire to maintain control and resist the present moment. The ego is driven by the need for identification, for separation, and a continuous sense of itself, or a sense of self. Yeah, yeah. And then we look at identification with problems. The chapter discusses how the ego often thrives on identification with problems. Toll suggests that individuals may find a sense of self in their problems, creating a mental narrative that sustains their identity. This identification becomes a barrier to true presence. We look also at the need for drama. Toll explores the mind's tendency to create or perpetuate drama as a way of avoiding stillness in the present moment. Drama provides a sense of intensity, which the ego mistakenly equates with aliveness. However, it is a distraction from the simplicity of being in the now. We look at the illusion of time. The concept of psychological time is revisited, with Toll explaining how the mind uses time as a way to escape the present. Constantly dwelling on the past or future allows the ego to maintain a sense of self through the illusion of a linear narrative, right? So again, it will push you to focus on the past because this is what it has kept as record, right? The mind is what keeps track of what has happened. It has this memory file, right? As well as what you most likely will do in the future. Again, it uses that through certain thoughts, right? Thoughts that will come into your thinking space. But if you are able to observe those thoughts, detach yourself from the past, focus on them on the present, you actually can dominate, you can overpower what your mind is trying to do to you. So the mind's fear of death. Toll discusses how the fear of death is a fundamental aspect of the egoic mind. The mind fears its own annihilation, and this fear influences various aspects of human behavior. So the chapter explores egoic mind creates strategies to avoid confronting the fear of death. And so when you break free from the mind's strategies, the chapter provides practical guidance on breaking free from the strategies for avoiding the now. Toll suggests becoming aware of these patterns, observing them without judgment, and bringing conscious attention to the present moment. By doing so, individuals can disengage from the grip of the ego. We also look at silencing the mental noise. Toll introduces the idea of silencing the mental noise through stillness and presence. By consciously choosing to be present and disengaging from the mind's constant chatter, individuals can experience a profound silence that is the gateway to a deeper dimension of consciousness. So we look also at the joy of being. The chapter concludes by emphasizing the joy that comes from being fully present. Toll invites readers to discover the joy that arises when the mind's resistance is dropped and the simplicity and beauty of the present moment, that one can embrace. And so, in summary, chapter 4 explores the strategies of the egoic mind or of the ego mind to avoid the now. It encourages readers to recognize these patterns, step out of identification with problems and drama, and embrace the stillness and joy that come from being present in the moment. And so we move on to chapter 5 that discusses the state of presence. So we look at chapter 5, the state of presence. The chapter explores the concept of presence, the nature of true intelligence, and the transformative power of being fully present in the now. So we look here at understanding presence. Toll begins by defining presence as a state of heightened consciousness and awareness. It is the state of being fully engaged with the present moment, free from the dominance of the thinking mind. Presence is not a mental concept, but a direct felt experience of the now. We also look at the limitations of thought. Here, the chapter discusses the limitations of thought and how excessive reliance on thinking can hinder one's ability to experience true intelligence. If you're always thinking and thinking, it can take away from your actual intelligence. So, Toll argues that true intelligence arises from a state of presence, where one transcends the conditioned patterns of the mind and taps into a deeper level of consciousness. We look also at intelligence beyond thought. Toll introduces the idea that there is an intelligence beyond thought, a non conceptual knowing that emerges when the mind is still. He suggests that true creativity and problem solving abilities arise from this form of intelligence that is connected to the essence of who we are. We also look at the power of stillness, silence, right? The chapter emphasizes the power of stillness as a gateway to presence. Toll encourages readers to experience moments of stillness by simply observing their surroundings without judgment or mental commentary. In these moments, the mind's incessant noise subsides and a deeper sense of presence emerges. Okay, so then we look also at consciousness in everyday activities. Toll explores the integration of presence into daily activities. He suggests that ordinary activities like washing dishes or walking even a dog can become opportunities for heightened awareness. By bringing full attention to these activities, individuals can break free from the autopilot mode of the thinking mind, right? Where you are doing something, but you are thinking of something else. You don't want to be doing something and thinking of something else. You want to be doing something and also be present in whatever it is you are doing. We look also at the intelligence of nature. The chapter touches on the intelligence inherent in nature and contrasts it with the limitations of human thought. So Toll suggests that nature is a reflection of the formless intelligence that underlies all existence. By aligning with the intelligence of nature, individuals can connect with their own essence. We look also at transcending thought identification. Here, Toll guides readers on transcending their identification with thoughts by recognizing that thoughts are not who we are, okay, and they are impermanent. Individuals can disentangle themselves from the mental noise and experience the stillness and the intelligence of the present moment. Okay, so again, this is a power that you get to practice when you observe your mind, right? Still the mind. Okay, or if you can't still it, just at least see what's happening in the mind and detach yourself from it and see how certain thoughts will just also walk away. Living in alignment with the now, the chapter concludes by emphasizing the importance of living in alignment with the now. Toll suggests that true fulfillment and purpose are found in being present in every moment of life, rather than in the pursuit of future goals or dwelling on past achievements. And so, in summary, Chapter 5 delves into the concept of presence, highlighting the limitations of thought and the intelligence that arises when the mind is still. It encourages readers to embrace the state of presence in their daily lives and recognize the transformative power of aligning with the intelligence beyond thought. And so we move on to the next chapter, chapter 6, which talks about the inner body. Okay, this is quite interesting. The inner body, chapter 6. All right, so chapter 6, the inner body. This chapter focuses, or rather, in here, that the focus shifts to the exploration of the inner body as a means of deepening one's experience, as well as transcending the dominance of the thinking mind. So we look at the concept of the inner body. Here, Toll introduces the concept of the inner body, referring to the subtle energy field that permits the physical body. So this is not just a physical sensation, but a portal to a deeper level of consciousness. The inner body represents a direct connection to the present moment. So we look at transcending the egoic mind. The chapter explores how becoming aware of the inner body allows individuals to disidentify from the egoic mind. Remember, the egoic mind, mind's ego, right? Or the ego mind is the one we don't want to have. So by shifting attention from the incessant stream of thoughts to the felt sense of aliveness in the body, one can break free from the habitual patterns of the thinking mind. We look also at the aliveness of the body. Toll emphasizes the importance of recognizing and experiencing the aliveness within the body. This involves a shift from conceptual thinking to direct sensory perception. The inner body serves as a point of access to the present moment where the mind's noise diminishes. Okay, so we look also at bringing conscious attention. Practical exercises are introduced to guide readers in bringing conscious attention to different parts of the body. By doing so, individuals can anchor themselves in the now and experience a state of deep inner stillness. The chapter encourages a non judgmental observation of the inner body's energy. So, beyond the physical body, Toll discusses how the inner body is not confined to the physical form, but extends beyond it. It is a formless dimension of consciousness that transcends the limitations of the material world. By recognizing this formless aspect, individuals can tap into a timeless and unchanging source of presence. Okay, and then we look also at transmuting emotional pain. The inner body is presented as a tool for transmuting emotional pain. Toll suggests that bringing conscious attention to the inner energy field can dissolve accumulated emotional pain, which is stored in the body. So this process allows individuals to release the grip of past suffering and experience liberation in the now. We look also at the inner body in daily life. The chapter concludes by emphasizing the integration of inner body awareness into daily life. So, Toll suggests that cultivating this awareness during routine activities can lead to a profound transformation in one's experience of the present moment. The inner body becomes a constant companion, a reminder of the timeless essence within. And so, in summary, chapter 6 guides readers through the exploration of the inner body as a powerful gateway to presence. By shifting attention from the mind's turbulence to the subtle energy within, individuals can transcend the egoic mind, dissolve emotional pain, and connect with the unchanging dimension of consciousness that underlies their physical form, right? The one that lies from deep within each and every person. So, then on the next chapter, we're going to be looking at portals into the unmanifested. Next chapter is chapter 7. So, chapter 7, portals into the unmanifested. The focus here shifts to exploring various gateways or portals that can lead individuals into a deeper dimension of consciousness, right, beyond the manifest world. So we look here in this chapter at the formless dimension, and here Toll introduces the idea that there is a dimension beyond the world of form, right? There is that unmanifested dimension which is formless and which is eternal. This dimension is the source of all creation and underlies the world of appearances. Portals are symbolic entry points into this formless realm. Again, the beauty of it being formless is that it can enter into any form. Okay, it does not have any specified form, but it can become any form. Given the desired situation. So the nature as a portal, nature is presented as a powerful portal into the unmanifested. Toll encourages readers to observe nature without mental commentary or judgment, allowing the beauty and stillness of the natural world to guide them into a state of presence. So nature is a reflection of the formless intelligence that pervades all of creation. Taking the time to appreciate, how butterflies fly, right? Appreciate the colors, that you see in butterflies. Appreciate the smell of pollen in spring, right? Appreciate the different colors, the different colors of leaves in the fall. So appreciating what you see, appreciating what you feel from nature. Okay, it is quite an interesting and amazing portal. The sacredness in everyday objects can serve as portals when served or observed without the overlay of mental interpretation. Okay, Toll suggests that ordinary things, when approached with presence, can reveal the formless essence behind the forms. So this includes anything from a simple stone to a piece of furniture. Okay, there's something beyond just what you see, just the physical. And then we also learn of art as a portal. Art is explored as a potent portal into the unmanifested, whether it's visual art or music, any form of creative expression. Art has the ability to bypass the conceptual mind and evoke a direct experience of the formless. So, Toll encourages readers to engage with art from a state of alert stillness. Okay, appreciate art, be present in the presence of art. Also, we look at entering the portal of inner space. Tulsa guides readers to explore the inner space within themselves as a portal to the unmanifested. So, this involves turning attention away from the external phenomena and living or diving into the space of pure awareness. Inner stillness and silence become gateways to the formless dimension. Also, recognizing the sacred in the ordinary. The chapter emphasizes the importance of recognizing the sacred in ordinary everyday experiences. By fully engaging with simple activities such as washing dishes or walking or eating, individuals can enter a state of heightened awareness. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when approached with presence. We also look at transcending the egoic self. Portals into the unmanifested are seen as opportunities to transcend the egoic self. By letting go of identification with form and entering into formless awareness, individuals can experience a shift in consciousness. And this involves surrendering the need for external validation and finding fulfillment in the present moment. And also, we learn of the now as the ultimate portal. Toll concludes the chapter by reiterating that the now is the ultimate portal into the unmanifested. All other portals, whether in nature, art, or everyday objects, ultimately lead back to the present moment. The timeless dimension of the now is accessible through the direct, mediated awareness. And so, in summary, Chapter 7 explores different portals into the unmanifested, guiding readers to recognize the formless dimension behind the world of form. By engaging with nature, art, and everyday experiences with presence, individuals can access a deeper level of consciousness beyond the limitations of that egoic mind. Remember that mind that we don't want, to spend a lot of time in. So, if we are going to again, observe these portals, embrace these portals, but ultimately be in the ultimate portal, which is now present. Okay, whatever it is that we're going through, we will have better power to deal with, in the best and most effective way possible. So, moving on to chapter 8, and chapter 8 is titled Enlightened Relationships. Okay, now the focus of this chapter is on exploring the challenges and opportunities for spiritual growth within the context of relationships. So, Toll provides insights into how individuals can transform their relationships by cultivating presence and transcending the egoic mind. Okay, so we look at chapter 8 and it talks about the nature of relationships. Toll begins by discussing the nature of relationships and how they can both be a source of deep fulfillment and a significant challenge, right? Depending on how they are received. So, relationships often trigger the ego, leading to conflicts, misunderstandings, and emotional pain, triggers. Toll emphasizes that true spiritual growth is possible through conscious relationships. Okay, now people know that this is one topic that is not to be taken quite lightly, right? But it's amazing to learn that if you are in the presence, even the state of your relationships can be well affected. Transcending egoic patterns, the chapter explores the impact of the ego on relationships and how egoic patterns can lead to conflicts and suffering. So Toll suggests that individuals often seek validation and a sense of identity through their relationships, right? Identify by being the wife of, or identify by being the child of, right? I identify by being, in relation with. Okay. So which, can create a dependency and emotional drama. You need to be able to identify with who you are. Transcending these patterns involves recognizing the ego's role in relationships. Also, we look at the importance of presence. Toll emphasizes the crucial role of presence in relationships. Being present means fully engaging with the other person without judgment, mental commentary, or the need to control. Presence allows individuals to see beyond the surface level roles and and the identities and connect with the deeper essence in each other. So, also in relationships, there's a huge element of acceptance. Okay, accept yourself, accept your partner, accept your friends for who they are. Acceptance is a key theme in the chapter. Toll suggests that true acceptance involves recognizing and embracing the other person as they are without attempting to change them. Acceptance is not passive, it is an active engagement with the present moment and an acknowledgement of the inherent imperfection in all human beings. And then we look at transforming suffering in relationships. The chapter addresses the potential for suffering in relationships and how it can become a catalyst for spiritual awakening. Through the conscious acknowledgement of pain and suffering, individuals can use these challenges as opportunities for growth and transformation. Relationships, when approached with presence, can become a path to enlightenment. The union of two awakened beings, Toll discusses the possibility of deep and profound connection in relationships when both individuals are awakened. The union of two awakened beings creates a synergistic energy that transcends egoic patterns and contributes to the evolution of consciousness. However, Toll also notes that individual awakening can have a positive impact on the relationship, even if the other person is not fully awakened. So we look also at balancing togetherness and solitude. The chapter explores the balance between togetherness and solitude in relationships. Toll suggests that individuals need to maintain a connection with their inner selves, cultivating a sense of solitude and stillness, even when in the presence of others. This balance contributes to the health and vitality of the relationship. So, in a relationship, you don't become the other person. It's important that you still remain who you are, right? And allow the other person to also be who they are, and together become, like two committed beings, right, into a bigger one, but also understanding that you are different individuals. So we also look at spiritual practice in relationships. Toll concludes the chapter by highlighting the role of spiritual practice in relationships. The practice involves being present, cultivating acceptance, and embracing challenges as opportunities for growth. So, spiritual practice in relationships is not separate from other aspects of one's spiritual journey, but an integral part of it. And so, in summary, Chapter 8 provides valuable insights into how individuals can transform their relationships by bringing presence, acceptance, and spiritual awareness into the dynamics of human connections. It encourages readers to view relationships as opportunities for spiritual growth as well as awakening. So then we move on to the next one, chapter 9, which discusses beyond happiness and unhappiness, there is peace. So, chapter 9, beyond happiness and unhappiness, there is peace. So, the focus is on exploring the nature of true inner peace and how it differs from the fleeting states of happiness and unhappiness that are often conditioned by external circumstances. So, again, when you look at this chapter, you look at the pursuit of happiness, which is where Toll begins the chapter by addressing the common human desire for happiness and the often futile pursuit of it through external means such as possessions or achievements and relationships. So he points out that external sources of happiness are temporary and subject to change, and that is leading to a perpetual cycle of seeking dissatisfaction, okay, because you're looking for something where it is not found. And then we look also at the transient nature of happiness and unhappiness. Toll emphasizes the impermanence of both happiness and unhappiness. External conditions, whether positive or negative, are subject to change, and relying on them for one's sense of well being can result in a constant oscillation between states of joy and sorrow. So, true peace, according to Toll, transcends these fluctuations, right? A true and genuine inner peace is what we actually want to attain. So then now, as the portal to peace, the chapter explores the idea that true peace is found in the present moment. Toll asserts that peace is not a product of external circumstances, but arises when individuals fully embrace and accept the present moment without resistance. So the now becomes the portal to a deeper and more lasting peace that is independent of external conditions. We also look at acceptance of what is. Toll introduces the concept of acceptance as a fundamental aspect of finding inner peace. Acceptance involves acknowledging and surrendering to the present moment, even if it doesn't align with one's desires or expectations. So, by accepting what is, individuals can transcend the mental resistance that often leads to unhappiness. Okay, so a huge part of this is that we accept things for what they are, right? Being in the present, accepting things. Okay. Doesn't mean that what is wrong is going to be right, but you accept situations for what they are, right? You work with what you've got. So, freedom from psychological time, the chapter also delves into the notion of psychological time and its impact on human suffering. So, Toll suggests that much of the discontent arises from dwelling on past experiences or worrying about the future, and that true freedom comes from breaking free from the constraints of psychological time and fully inhabiting the timeless present. So we see also peace in the midst of activity. Toll explores the possibility of experiencing peace even in the midst of active engagement with life. He suggests that individuals can maintain a connection to the underlying peace within while navigating the changes, or rather the challenges and responsibilities of daily existence. So true peace is not dependent on external circumstances, but can be sustained throughout various life situations. We also look at detachment from outcome. The chapter emphasizes the importance of detaching oneself, or rather detaching one's sense of self-worth from external achievements or outcomes. So Toll suggests that true peace arises when individuals can pursue goals and engage in activities without being excessively attached to the results. Okay, you play a game. You don't have to be attached to whether you have won or lost that game. This detachment involves recognizing that external achievements do not define one's essence, okay? The fact that you won that game does not mean that you are a winner. The fact that you lost that game does not mean that you are a loser. You are playing a game. So we look also at the power of surrender. Surrender is presented as a key aspect of finding inner peace. And here Toll explains that surrendering is not resignation or giving up. It is a conscious letting go of resistance to the present moment. Surrender allows individuals to align with the natural flow of life and experience the peace that comes with it. Okay, and then also we look at the joy of being. The chapter concludes by pointing to the joy that emerges from being fully present and at peace with the now. Toll invites readers to explore the profound essence of fulfillment that rises when the mind's incessant chatter is silenced and individuals are connected to the underlying stillness of their being. And so, in summary, Chapter 9 encourages readers to move beyond the pursuit of fleeting happiness and unhappiness by embracing true inner peace in the present moment. It explores the concepts of acceptance, detachment, surrender, and the joy that arises from being fully present in the here, in the now, in the right now. So we move on to the last chapter 10, which discusses the meaning of surrender. And so, last but definitely not least, we're looking at chapter 10, the meaning of surrender. And the focus here is on the profound concept of surrender and its role in the process of spiritual awakening. So we look at understanding surrender. Toll begins by introducing the concept of surrender, emphasizing that it is not a weak or passive state, but a powerful and transformative state. So surrender involves letting go of resistance to the present moment and aligning with the flow of life. It is a shift from the egoic need for control to a state of openness and receptivity. Okay, so you don't have to control everything. You can allow certain things to flow. You can be receptive, in certain situations. Also, we look at the illusion of control. The chapter explores the illusion of control that the egoic mind seeks to maintain. Toll suggests that the desire for control is rooted in fear and the need for security. However, true security is found in surrendering to the present moment rather than attempting to control external circumstances. So we look at the nature of inner resistance. Toll delves into the nature of inner resistance, which is the primary obstacle to surrender. And he explains how resistance manifests as mental noise, emotional turmoil, and the inability to accept what is. Surrender involves becoming aware of these patterns and choosing to let go of the inner resistance. So we look also at surrender and non-resistance. The chapter emphasizes the connection between surrender and non-resistance. Toll explains that true surrender is not about resigning oneself to a passive existence, but about acknowledging what is without mental interference. Non-resistance involves saying yes to the present moment and allowing life to unfold without inner opposition. So we look also at the paradox of surrender. Toll explores the paradoxical nature of surrender, highlighting that it is both the most challenging and the most liberating thing that one can do. Surrender involves a surrendering of the ego's need for control, and it is through this letting go that individuals discover a deeper sense of peace and freedom. Surrendering to the formless, The chapter introduces the idea of surrendering to the formless dimension of consciousness. This formless dimension is the source of true intelligence and creativity. By surrendering to it, individuals open themselves to a deeper level of awareness that transcends the limitations of the thinking mind. So, surrender in action. Toll discusses how surrender can be applied in everyday life and actions, whether it's through work, relationships, or any other aspect of life. Surrender involves bringing a quality of presence to what one does and accepting the outcome without excessive attachment or resistance. So, also, we look at the power of now as the ultimate surrender. The chapter concludes by emphasizing that living in the now is the ultimate form of surrender. The now is the only point of access to the formless dimension of consciousness, and that surrendering to the present moment allows individuals to go beyond the egoic mind and experience the profound peace that comes with aligning with the timeless now. And so, in summary, chapter 10 explores the deep significance of surrender in the spiritual journey. It highlights the transformative power of letting go of inner resistance, embracing non resistance, and surrendering to the present moment as a gateway to a more profound and liberated state of consciousness. So yes, that is the power of now by Eckhart Tolle. And as you've heard on numerous occasions, we talk of now, of the present acceptance. Detaching from certain things, observing certain things. Accepting certain things. So that is what we're looking at. Do share some of the points that stood out for you. All right. Have you tried any of the exercises? Do share the ones that appealed most